Interesting bit of news, getting a little bit off topic on this Wednesday as we are starting a new reset in 10.1.5. The announcement from Blizzard right before the beginning of this month, August, about new class sets coming to the trading post. Now, Blizzard has been pointing out, just in case players start getting misled by some of the news that came out in the community recently about the data mining of these new sets being available in game, that these are going to be only 3 pieces. So, you know, it's kind of a class set. It's going to be belt, shoulder and helmet. So that's just a 3-piece set that you can buy from the trading post. It's going to be for each and every class, but it's not going to come out all at once. It's not going to be assaulting your traders' tenders all at once in 1 month. Instead, they will be staggered 3 for each month, basically until the end of this year, this 2023. Blizzard is pointing out that, of course, only the intended class will be able to use the armor Set Trasmogs and weapon Set Trasmogs. Armors will be available to purchase for 450 traders' tenders each, and weapon sets will be available to purchase for 500 traders' tenders each. Now, because we have 3 class sets coming out each month in the trading post, it means you would have to spend roughly 3,000, almost 3,000 traders' tenders if you wanted to get all 3 sets at the same time. Let's start with what is coming in September, which is just in a month after this month of the trading post. We have Paladin, we have Priest, and we have Rogue. If I had to give a judgment on these, I would say Paladin is actually pretty good. It's pretty thematic if you want to roleplay as the usual, you know, Holy Avenger style Paladin. This one also has some Scarlet Crusade theme, being a little bit red. I think I would give it an 8 out of 10 for this set. The Priest one, we have the Tentacle themed one, we have the Nazot themed one. We have seen a few sets before about this style. What I'm a bit surprised about this set is that it's bright, right? It's white, it's shiny. Usually when we have seen other similar cloth themed tentacle stuff, it was dark blue, black, purple. So it would be more difficult to make it fit with other sets. And then, you know, whatever this is, it looks even worse because they put this on a fat woman, so it's not very good. Paladin for now is in the lead in terms of looks when it comes to sets. What follows on top of the armor sets, as we mentioned, are the weapon sets. This is the one for Paladin. This is the 2-handed weapon and then 1-handed plus shield. In case you're confused, wait a second, I thought this was a Scarlet Paladin themed type of set. These weapons are purple. Yes, there is going to be no correlation, no theme between the weapons you're gaining from the set and the actual armor set of the classes. So, Paladin one is pretty cool. There are quite a few actually, purple and silver themed armor sets and class sets for Paladin, so it's quite easy to find a use for these weapons and shields. This is for Priest. Pretty good, pretty nice theme. Once more, it's not too different from what we have seen before. I like particularly the 1-handed weapon compared to the staff, which is a bit too thick, a bit too big. And then you have the Rogue. I haven't really cared that often about Rogue weapons, to be perfectly honest. I think there is plenty more nice to use, but still, these aren't bad if you are a Rogue. Then we have October. In October, we are getting Death Knight, we are getting Demon Hunter, and we are getting Druid. So, for this set, I think I'm gonna give DK an 8 out of 10, because I like the fact that it challenges some of the standard colors DK's uses to have, similar to the color of the Priest set before, but this one looks cooler. You know, you don't have many white, bright, shiny type of tier sets or class sets or armor compositions for DK's usually, so I think this one is nicer as a change of pace. Actually, I also like this one for Demon Hunter for more or less the same reasons. You don't usually see this style for Demon Hunter, this rock elemental kind of style for a Demon Hunter. Doesn't even look like leather, right? This should be a leather wearing class. Demon Hunter, this doesn't look like leather. Meanwhile, this one I'll give it a 4 because I feel like I have seen this one for Druid so many times. These type of shoulders, they look very similarly reused to the ones from Legion. Same for the helmet. It's got a more like tiger-y something feline style, but still, I think it's a bit overused. Also the color palette as well, so not as much of a fan of this one for Druid. Later down we have the weapons. These are the ones for DK. It's worth mentioning once more that these are for Death Knight. You can't just pick them up and use them as a warrior. These are for Death Knight. Let me remind you once more about what Blizzard said. Keep in mind that only the intended class will be able to use the armor Set Trasmogs and weapon Set Trasmogs. So you cannot pick these up as a warrior if you wanted to use them because they look cool. These are only for Death Knight. Then you have obviously the Warglaves, only available to Demon Hunter, and lastly you have the Druid weapons. Still, these are also themed, as we often said, about the flowery leaves, changing of seasons of Druid. It's pretty nice to have more options of this style. Into November we now have Warlock, Monk, and Warrior. So Warlock, you know, maybe it's the model, okay? Maybe it's the model of Warlock, but it looks really awful, especially the head looks so tiny, so shrunk compared to the rest. I mean, the shoulders actually look great, right? The shoulders look like they are marble sculptures, like a half demon, succubus, those type of things you see maybe on cathedrals with the gargoyles around the corners of the buildings. This looks quite nice, but you know, the random wing on the side and the super small head with those pathetic little horns. No. Fix the head, fix the helmet, and this can get much better. Monk, you know, this looks like very traditional Monk. This looks like a very Mogushan Palace, a very Mists of Pandaria themed type of set for Monk. It's not bad. It's not that great either. We have also seen more of these normally for Monk anyway, so it's a standard good set for Monk. And then you have Warrior. This is the same, you know, for Warrior, except a bit better. I think it's slightly cooler. This is just personal preference. I don't think either of these two is particularly excellent for both of the classes. Later down we have the weapons available. This is for Monk. This would get probably the highlight available because of this staff available for Monk. I'm sure many classes or specs would have wanted this flowery pink staff for them. Unfortunately, it's only going to be available for Monk. Then we have Warlock weapons. These are a little bit more standards. You know, it's a Warlock. Let's give them skulls. You know, it's not that revolutionary. And lastly, we have Warrior. I'm a particular fan of the shield. I think it's quite nice. You even have some blue roses. I think it's pretty nice. It's pretty cool for Warrior. Then again, you would have to have protection warriors in the game to actually use the shield as a warrior. But let's hope that by what's this, November? By November we get some more balance coming in and Warrior are made a little bit more viable. And then we have Christmas. Obviously, being Christmas on December, we have an extra class showing up. We have Evoker, Hunter, Mage, and Shaman. So Evoker, he is hands down the worst of the sets. This is just awful. From the shoulders to the helmet, everything about this is terrible. Then we have Hunter. You know, I'm not that much of a doomer compared to the comments I've read about this set. This is reminiscent of some of the Zulaman, you know, old school feathery wooden type of like troll themed Hunter sets we have seen before, which I like. So this is not that revolutionary, it's not that imaginative, but still it's not just awful. Okay, this is awful. Okay, this one right here is awful. This one is okay. Now for Mage, I don't know why, actually. I don't know why I am so drawn by this set. Perhaps it's the color palette. It's the bright blue and bright yellow together on a Mage set, which, I don't know, it looks cool. It looks cooler than some other usual Mage sets I used to see, and this one looks just nicer. And then Shaman. You know, again, if it's themed to the class and it's done nicely, it's okay. This is not, again, it's not super new. We have some other similar styles. This is very BFA style of the Shaman sets we have seen before. Even Mists back in Throne of Thunder, the set is actually reminiscent of this one. So that set was very good. And so if you make something kind of similar, it still ends up being a decent set for Shaman. As far as the weapons go, we have Evoker weapons. Again, very dull, very boring, very straightforward, nothing too great about this. Hunter weapons, some sort of remake of a legendary, so I guess that's a plus, but besides that, nothing really too cool here. Mage weapons, now these are cool, especially the one-handed sword. this is a pretty cool and thematic and fitting fire mage weapon, and then of course you have the frost mage staff. So these are pretty nice. Again, this one is a little bit out of place, to be fair. These two are much cooler for mage. Shaman weapons, dreadful, just boring, you know, not very imaginative. Maybe you can find some orange themed sets to equip these on, like for example the set from Throne of Thunder, which also has the orange palette. Maybe you can use this with that. And that was the last of the sets available. Worth pointing out once more is that likely maybe it's time to start saving up on some of your traders tenders available if you want to get these all eventually, because you know all of this entire thing will cost you roughly 12,000 traders tenders, so it will end up costing a lot. I'm sure some players will be disappointed by the fact that they won't have, you know, the traders tenders available to buy this stuff and have to miss out on some. You can't keep multiple things frozen in the shop. So for example, in September, if you had basically 0 traders tenders left now and you got yours from August and September, you would only be able to buy 2 of these, for example, and a couple of armor sets. And then when October comes, you now only have enough money for 1 set and 1 armor set, and you will have to miss out a couple. Maybe you were playing DK and Druid, you wanted both, but you don't have the traders tenders, you know, it might feel bad. Then again, we also have some voices in the corridors, some rumors about the possibility of Blizzard to bring in traders tenders in the game in other means to be purchasable. Now, they have already pointed out, before you start flooding the comments with this, that they will never put traders tenders in the in-game shop for money. As in, if we make traders tenders available, it's gonna be attached to something else. Things like promotion. Subscribe to WoW for the next 3 months and we give you 2,000 tenders. Or promotion. This new battle pet is on discount. If you buy this, you get 500 traders tenders. So that type of purchase for these tendies. But you know, it's maybe what I'm trying to say is maybe it would have been better if they announced these class sets maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. So players would have been able to have time to start stockpiling on traders tenders so that they could be buying then all of the class sets and weapon sets that they wanted. That's the point, right? That said, it's still free shit, okay? It's still stuff given to us for free from a system that didn't even exist before Dragonflight, so there's not really too much to be complaining about. Let me guys know in the comments, of course, what were your favorite armor sets or the weapons that you thought were cool and you can't wait to grab as soon as these rotate in the traders tenders shop. But for now, on this Wednesday, we can give a goodbye to each other and leave, because I also have to go and work out today. It's not even that hot outside, so it's pretty cool. Thanks, of course, as usual, to all of the Patreon supporters for the contribution and help to the growth of the channel. You can still support in plenty of free ways. That is still appreciated. You can like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel itself. So with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, man, I'm sorry for the last specs in this list for a mage who has to wait like 4 months before he actually gets the set to come out.